What? Check the leading against me. Ah, and here comes the rare pearl, the diamond in the rough that my Nisha tells me about. Come, young man.
Technomancer. Was a lieutenant in Abundance.
Then welcome to Noctus Labyrinthus, Technomancer, former lieutenant of Abundance. I am Dandolo, head of this fair city.
Legendary city of the merchants. Apparently less legend than I thought, or been told.
But hopefully as glorious as legends proclaim. Regardless, for all who come seeking asylum, it opens its arms to you and your companions. You are free to call it home. Like all who have come before you, you will honor our only request, that you make yourselves useful to our city. I'm sure your skills will place you in high demand. Noctis' first Technomancer. Exciting. You'll have all the help you need with Nisha and Lucky, who I believe you've met. We'll give you a room to get some rest. I hear your trip was quite eventful. There is something else. I would like to personally discuss my expectations of you. You hear? War between Abundance and Aurora's winding down. Aurora took Green Hope.
Just left Ophir a few hours ago and didn't hear anything about that.
That really surprise you? Your little censorship office probably hasn't decided what to do with the information yet. No. Don't look at me like that. You don't belong to Abundance anymore. The truce doesn't behoove us. During peace, the corporations become more suspicious of us and our business suffers. Our city could even be discovered, which would be catastrophic. In legend, it must remain.
What do you...
No, let me speak. Your welcome here comes at a price. I want you to attack an Aurora convoy. It's right up your alley.
And why would I do that?
I didn't finish. You will do it in Abundance uniforms, dissolving the truce. Do what you want with the soldiers, but let the civilians live. They need to be witnesses that will report back to Aurora.
So you keep the war going?
Precisely. And while you're at it, bring back the uniforms of the Aurora Technomancers you dispatch. I'm sure I'll find a use for them down the road. Another thing, much more trivial this time, I assure you. The rover you came in on, I'd like you to move it. Put it wherever you want, do whatever you want with it. Just make sure it's not in the way in the canyon. I just don't want Ophir to stumble over the machine and, as a result, find the road that leads here.
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
Oh yes, one last thing. My spies gave me a little tidbit that might interest you. Right after your escape, the ASC arrested your Technomancer brothers, that's what you call them, right? From Ophir. Their fate's uncertain, but if I was you, I'd be worried for them. If you're worried enough to want to help them, maybe we can set up some sand sails to get you back.
And your help comes at what cost? Assuming it's not out of the kindness of your heart.
Don't be so bitter, Zachariah. Business is business, not personal. I just thought a few Technomancers on our side might be useful.
You want to attack a convoy to reignite a war? You know how many people die in those wars? How many are mutilated? Taken prisoner?
Not precisely. But I think I have a clear idea of the numbers, yeah. Every battle has its purpose, Technomancer. Abundance has fought Aurora for years for more power, out of idealism that their philosophies are more righteous than Aurora's. We don't just fight the corporations because of their damned ideals. What we do for our survival, for the survival of the misfits of Mars, the rejected, the poor, the outcasts of corporations. We fight for those who find a home with us, those I promised to protect. This mission worries you, and I get that. I do. Which is why I'm not asking you to attack your old brothers in arms, but rather just carry out the same attacks you did countless times before, under different command.
I don't know how I can move the rover. Pretty damaged.
I'm sure you can find a way to move it up here. Not sure sand sails can help, but maybe you can couple it to some ostriches. Maybe your explorer friend didn't tell you, but some corporations would start a war to own such a machine. I'd repair it if I were you. Hell, sell it if you don't think you'll ever need it. I'll be honest, though. Rovers offer freedom no other transportation does. Word is, they can even reach the North and South Poles. Just something to think about.
How'd you find out about my brother so quickly?
Well, besides the fact that your accident and eventful arrival slowed you down, my messenger's sandsails make up in speed what they lack in protection. And of course, the arrests of Abundance's most powerful strike forces were worthy of dispatching agents to keep an eye on the situation. You haven't even given a thought to how this disrupts the current balance of forces, have you?
You know why they were arrested?
The official statement is that they were suspected of treason. Victor's pretext, I'm sure. He's a man who hates anything not under his control. Was probably planning this for quite a while. He didn't get what he wanted going at it indirectly, so he just took it head on. Whatever hope you have for their lives, I'd start to come to terms. They're probably being tortured for their secrets as we speak. And as soon as they give them up, they'll be executed. If you care about them...
You want to attack a convoy to...
Not every... We don't just fight. This mission worries.
What do you know about Aurora?
A young corporation. Aggressive, inventive, less backward than Abundance. And right now, it's going through many changes. During the war, a man named Wisdom became its dowser. And because of him, Technomancers, who'd been kept from power for so long, now have quite a bit of influence, religious and political. No one knows what'll come of it, though. Only thing we know is that his alliance with the popular unions, which helped win a lot of battles, including the one over Greenhope, looks like it's become pretty fragile. And I admit I am concerned that this'll all lead to another bloodbath. It's just my concern, and I'm not always right, but I'm also rarely wrong.
What can you tell me about Abundance?
More than others, probably, because I see it all from the outside, and what I see isn't tainted by any loyalty to a mother country. Every last bit of it is harsh, from its structure to its hierarchy, and trust me, it's gonna topple one day. The administration's unending power leads to unending corruption, which keeps the Vori fed and keeps the control where it is. The plan is to stifle any bright young things in the corporation that might hope for promotion. Zachariah, we have two possible outcomes. One, Victor seizes power, Abundance survives, and crushes its own citizens beneath its boots. Or two, Abundance finds a way to evolve and liberate itself from its current ways of thinking. The type of regime there now, though, can only survive with an equally powerful leader. Something Victor understands.
I see your mutants walk around free here. They welcome, too?
And why wouldn't they be? They're the future of our planet, Zachariah. Though I'm sure that makes little sense to someone who grew up in a corporation that treats them like they are a lesser people. They work hard. They're excellent guides and artisans, perfect spies, and for me, key commercial partners for Noctis. It may be a surprise to you to learn that they hope to form a mutant nation someday, and I believe they have that right. So I've been supporting them with whatever meager means at my disposal.
What are your thoughts on the ASC?
The cornerstone of Victor's dubious ascent to power. You want to deal with Abundance, you need to go through the ASC.
You think Victor's out to control Abundance?
Out to? No, he already does. Didn't your Technomancer friend's arrest prove that? A dowser to boot. Dowsers, the Assembly, whoever, all pawns to be sacrificed, or puppets to be manipulated in his games of blackmail, played with the secrets he's collected on everyone. He's brilliant. Merciless, a master manipulator who's turned nearly every citizen into one of his agents. All without raising suspicion. Most in Abundance work for ASC ambitions, while those who don't will soon disappear.
What's the word on Anton Rogue?
A bastard like no other. My worst enemy and biggest threat. I've done my damnedest to make sure my existence, like this city, is little more than a vague rumor. Anton Rogue, though, knows damn well that me and this city are real. Just doesn't know where to find us. At least I hope not. He's big business competition, hopes to push the power of his organization into every corporation. And what better way for him to do it than through us? I do what I can to prevent him from reaching us, but he's not a man who quits till he gets what he wants.
Then why even try to stop him? It's just business, right?
True enough. But his methods aren't good for my business, or yours. He's a product of the Abundance regime, and because of that, he only knows terror and violence as his tools. I prefer, well, more tactical methods.
What can you tell me about the Caravansary neighborhood?
It's the pulse of Noctis. The very first place built by traveling merchants, built in the recesses of the labyrinth so they'd have a place to meet, trade, rest, drop their loads. Then the city exploded as it opened itself up to all those who were homeless elsewhere. And the simple building it once was became the beautiful palace it is today. It's still the place for merchants to gather, trade, swap tips and news, and get some rest. It's also become the home for the Merchant Prince, the elected chief of all traveling merchants.
What's the Gate neighborhood?
It's the neighborhood around the city's current entrance, much less affluent than the heart of the city, and it keeps growing and getting better. Usually the first place newcomers tend to plant their roots. They'll go and dig or build their house where they can find space, a damn lively area, eclectic, and sometimes those differences, combined with the proximity of the canyon, can make it a bit dangerous. But we do our best to keep it safe, try to find ways to bring the different communities together, rather than allow their division to fester.
Why'd you pick the canyons to build your city?
Who knows? That decision was made by people a century ago. But if you're asking my opinion, the canyons serve a dual purpose, providing transit and partial shade from the sun. I don't know if you know, but they connect us all over, even to the big cities, and they serve as natural protection, making it hard to find us without a guide. They're our shadow paths, our roof, and our ramparts. All thanks.
On my way in, I saw a large area with a bunch of sailing machines.
Ah yes, the loading zone, where we store, empty, and fix our vehicles when they need it. All the merchandise that comes in gets sorted there too, before getting redirected to the various city neighborhoods. It's a rather key area for the city. Without the sand sails, we'd have a damn difficult time getting our merch out to all the cities. Of course, we can't use them everywhere, and often use other means of transport, like the Shadow Path, or ostriches. But those machines, as you call them, do the bulk of the heavy lifting. It's our fleet, and we're damn proud of it too.
He's intelligent, but shifty. He wishes to fire up another conflict, another war. Blood, corpses, misery. Those things follow a merchant of death. We should never have left Ophir.
I would have died there, Scott. I'm sorry you had to come with me. I really am. You could have stayed, but I have to go see what Dandolo wants.
I know it sounds bad, but what do you think Abundance or Aurora would do if they found our little outcast city? Dandolo may be cruel, but in the end, He only wants what's good for Noctis.
Repent! We won't have access to the Blue Paradise so long as we are not all absolved of our sins. You came here to wash your soul?
I had something else in mind. Could you tell me more about your sect?
I can talk about it for hours, even days.
A few minutes should be enough.
All right, how can I sum up faith? All the truth contained in this world in a few words. I have to bring myself down to my followers' level. I'll skip the beginning of the story. Let's start with the settlers' arrival. So the settlers had challenged Sun by coming to this planet, by leaving heaven to come down to this hell. So he decided to destroy every source of life on Mars. His wrath was terrible. He unleashed a cataclysm that engulfed the world in a dust cloud. He probably would have wiped out every one of us if his son hadn't taken mercy on us and bestowed the blessing of his shadow. And it is in that shadow where the real men stayed, whereas the others, who thought they could withstand the Lord's vengeful eye, saw their features change forever. They became beasts and lost their soul. Today, we endlessly beg the Lord to reconcile with his Son and agree to live in harmony with us, that his eye becomes tender again and no longer burns.
I think I've heard enough. Everyone knows that story. I was hoping there might be something different, but no. I'm looking for some work. Would you happen to have anything for me?
It is the Shadow who has sent you. I am looking for new worship objects for my followers, and there are relics, benign traces of those who used to live in the canyons around the city, in the ruins of splendid cities. I would have gone there myself on my knees as if it were a holy pilgrimage, but that horrible place is teeming with disgusting creatures and ruthless thieves.
You want me to get the relics for you then? All right, I'll see what I can do. Even though I have some doubts regarding those splendid cities, only a few dwellings there.
Long-distance caravans arrived and it's going straight to the palace again. When will I ever get my delivery?
Stop being so impatient. The prince wants a recollection of the journey and news updates from our distant contacts. It's normal and necessary. Without his vigilance, Noctis would be nothing more than a pack of misfits.
Yeah. But while the prince is chatting, my goods just sit there. My perishable goods.
Quit your whining. If you've waited for months, a few hours won't kill you.
you, sir.
I need some information.
If it's about anything you see in here, I'm happy to help. Otherwise, not sure I have what you need.
Hello, Amelia.
Hey. You know I'm mad at you, right? You realize what you did to me? You stole my rover, took me to that strange city, and left her in the middle of nowhere. I know that you were nice to me, but still.
Dandolo wants me to bring your rover back here.
Now he's just showing off. At least he knows how much a machine like that one is worth. Unlike you do realize that my rover dates back to the settlers? I cared for her like a mother, maybe even more. Bring her back to me. She's got sentimental value and she's all I have left. In the meantime, I'll go find the tools to repair her. And I'd also like to talk to you in private, if you don't mind, regarding what you discovered in Ophir.
What do you think of Phobos?
I don't really know what to think of him. He must have had a horrible life. He's a mutant, and we all know how they are treated. And you know, that liberation story, that mutant nation thing and all, freaks me out a little. He's very smart, however. I sometimes even have the feeling that he can guess what we're thinking.
What do you think of Nisha?
She's stuck up. She was pretending to be a princess in Ophir. Here, she's the boss. Like, I've got a lot of experience, and you don't know anything. Pisses me off. And she seems to forget that she wouldn't have gotten out of Ophir or gone on trips without me. Silly girl.
What do you think of Andrew?
Besides the fact that he still has to fucking square it with abundance, he isn't too bad. Street smart, and his being a smuggler gives him an edge. But he isn't into me, and I'm not into pining over a guy who doesn't bother to look at me anyway.
What do you think of Scott? You know him well.
Know him well? He's nice. I like him, but he's...
I bet you know the slums very well, given it's where your shed is.
Well, yeah. It's a sort of...
Tell me more about you growing up.
What's there to say? I was a ward of the state in Abundance's centers. It was lonely and, the other kids were assholes, but I gotta tell you, those times my dad returned from his missions, and I got to see him, best times of my life.
Wait, what? I thought the reason you'd been placed in a center was that your dad disappeared.
Who the hell told you that? No, I was real young when they took me away. My parents were always off on missions, and someone had to take care of me, I don't even remember living with them. Honestly, I don't want to talk about it.
Sure, sorry. Yeah, of course. Besides your rovers, what else makes you happy here, Amelia?
Nature. Not the bugs or animals and stuff, but the landscapes, Sunsets, mountains scraping the sky, red water trickling down the hills in the spring, gray lichen floating in the morning breeze. Back in Ophir, I used to take the rover out before sunrise just to take it all in. Always managed to put things in perspective, how small we all are.
Amelia the poet philosopher. Who'd have thought it?
Why you gotta be a smartass?
Aha, I'm not. I just never saw that side of you. The passion makes me want to take a rover out before dawn tomorrow.
Let's go together. I've always wanted to share it with someone. Hi, Zach. How are you?
Hello, Amelia. I'm fine, thanks. Are you seeing anyone at the moment?
What, you mean a boyfriend? No, not right now. You applying for the position?
I mean...
Look at your face! You can't even come up with something to say. Listen, you don't look half bad, soldier. Won't take too much for me to cuddle up with you at night.
Hey, there you are. Your meeting go well.
As well as hoped. Thanks.
Then let's get down to business. You know who I am. You know my past. You know what little I have left. What are you gonna do about it now is the question. You gonna use what you can against me? Well, let me carry on with the small life I've managed to build.
What happened that day?
I had a surge. A big one. One even the Masters never saw coming, literally. Before they even knew what was happening, I electrified everyone and everything around me. It screamed like thunder from my body, before the ceiling itself finally collapsed in on me. I woke up in the infirmary without an arm, surrounded by all those powerful Masters who stood there shaken, whispering, their eyes still filled with fear. Then everything went dark again, and I woke up in a sand sail.
I'll leave you to your life, Andrew. I just want to offer you some help. I can't give you back everything you've lost.
Some things can't be healed, Rogue. Like that scar across your face. I'm guessing you got it the day I lost everything. And was reduced to a sad, broken, armless shadow of what I might have been.
Some things can't be healed, but most can be mended, friend. Let me ask around. It might be a long shot, but maybe you'll find a new reason to call yourself lucky again. We'll find someone who can lead you back to your gifts. I promise.
I may be bitter, but I'm no less grateful. Thank you, Zachariah. A little show of kindness goes a long way.
Hey.
Hey, back.
Why aren't you with your family?
Right. My family. They were small-time merchants. I'm sure real proud their son was gifted with Technomancy and was joining the school. But they were also scared as shit of me for the same reason. We're all scared of what we don't understand. It's why so many fear us both. Not that I'm sure any of the Masters even asked them to take me back. It was more important to them that I disappear for good. to hide what happened, keep the illusion of their infallibility intact. Also, to hide the fact they had people among them who had the power to take down entire buildings. No, I had to go. In some ways, they even did me a favor.
And you never tried to reconnect with them? Even after you got free?
No, I looked for him. Even tracked down my father. He was just this old man. Didn't even recognize me. And if he did, he'd probably just hate me for what I've become. A crippled outcast, not something you'd put your pride in. So I let it lie, just walked away.
Hey. What about your gift? I thought people died if they didn't use their fluid.
It's a myth. There are rogue technomancers out there. Not a lot, but a few. They know how to control their fluid surges. Probably the only thing that piece of shit Marcello could take credit for. He introduced me to one of those guys, and after that, I learned to control it the hard way. The irony, no? I'll never be a Technomancer now, but I control the fluid better than any of Abundance's masters. Not for power, just to make sure my own brain doesn't fry.
Hey.
Hey, back.
What have you been up to since you left?
What have I done? Well, after spending 10 years of my life as a slave trying to pay that piece of shit Marcello back for what he called my debts, traveled in his luggage hold, did his dirty jobs, whatever he needed to get his business going. Carried crates, drove sand sales, shoveled sand, ran errands, but mostly just picked his customers' pockets. I traveled a lot, though, if I'm going to find any silver lining in it, and have earned my damn place here in Noctis. Even if the price of that has been rarely sleeping in a real bed or reading a book that wasn't about accounting.
Should have remembered you. Back when we were kids, the world just revolved around you.
Really? How so?
You ever even know the influence you had? How much the other kids tried to be you? How much I did?
The influence was just an illusion. Just a... I don't like remembering myself like that. Even if it's right. Feel like I was just another manipulator, though. Manipulating people to get what I wanted out of them. To let them get what they wanted out of me. All just a time I'd rather forget, honestly. If you don't mind.
Hey.
Hey, back.
I really think I can help you get your abilities back, Andrew. I'm just gonna need your help too, if you're willing to follow me.
Anywhere. Even if you'll forgive the fact I'm not going to get my hopes up too high just yet.
Whatever works for you. Come on. Hey.
Hey, back.
What should I know about the Caravanserai?
It's the heart of Noctis, the home of the Merchant Prince, and the place where all the merchants' important transactions happen. That's where they decide on the trajectory of the main cargo routes throughout the planet. Historically, it's also the first place out of the corporation's reach on Mars. I like the place a lot. It's very peaceful compared to other places, and the architecture is splendid. The Merchant Prince has a taste for luxury. I could have spent 10 years there. I bet I would smile a bit more than I do now.
What can you tell me about Noctis?
It's a free enclave in a world dominated by dictatorial corporations, created by merchants in order to facilitate the exchange of goods from everywhere. It's become a place that also welcomes refugees from all walks of life. I love this city. You can find anything you want. Mercenaries, preachers, craftsmen, all kinds of merchants, princes and thieves. And don't get me started on the extensive variety of artifacts from all around the planet. It's quite mind-numbing, but it's the place where everything is possible, far from the yoke imposed by corporations.
As a merchant, you must have traveled a lot. What amazing places have you visited?
Well, when I was a kid, I lived in Ophir, a place you probably know better than me. But with Marcello, the merchant to whom I belonged, we mostly traveled to Shadowlair. He knew a number of Technomancers, including renegades, and used to sell them equipment found by looters. It's an old Baroque city, with dirt-poor slums. As strange as it may sound, corporations' big cities all look the same in the end, beyond the few differences they flaunt.
You've known Nisha for a while, haven't you?
Not that long. I've been on the road most of the time for the last few years, and I've run into her a couple times. I've been in Noctis for about a year now. She's a wonderful woman. Courageous, driven. She's ready to risk her life for the city. Personally, even though I love Noctis, I wouldn't do it. She's generous too. But she has her own wounds, like all of us. She's full of anger sometimes. I think she has a few scores to settle. You know that she's from Ophir too?
What do you think of Amelia?
That sometimes the way she speaks would make caravan drivers blush. But she's a great girl. Brave, talented. Too bad about the way Abundance brainwashed her.
What do you think of Scott?
Did you know I met him in Ophir? When I was a kid. He was my family's doctor, but I have a feeling he's gone completely crazy since then. He was already a little strange, but now he's completely nuts. That's too bad. He's a great scientist.
Do you know Phobos well?
Well, kind of. I've run into him several times, yes. He heads a wonderful fight, and I truly hope that he succeeds. The corporations have exploited and squeezed everybody way too much, the mutants in particular. It's time for all this to stop. He's a great actor. I saw him play a simpleton with terrific aplomb, whereas he's one of the most intelligent men I know.
What do you know about the mutants?
Which ones? The ones who were locked up, mistreated, considered to be mere beasts by the corporations? Or the ones who live freely on Mars's surface?
I was thinking about the free mutants.
They're almost all former slaves, you know. In the end, there are only a few of them who were born outside the corporations. But they managed to quickly build a culture, to make the planet their own like no other human had done before. They don't see the Martian environment as hostile, but more as a land of countless opportunities. They're actually aware of the fact that they will never go back to Earth. It's become their home due to the circumstances. What else can I say? They're courageous, ready to fight for their brother's freedom. Some of them even want to get rid of the humans from what I've heard, which I can understand. I respect them a lot.
You know the merchants.
Even though knowing a few individuals doesn't mean that you know the group they belong to, getting rich is their main focus. And some of them behave like assholes to get what they want. But this doesn't apply to all of them. Most of them are intelligent, opportunistic, and pragmatic. But they're also more open-minded than the corporation's citizens. Your job, origin, even being a mutant doesn't matter, as long as you bring them business.
You have it in for them, the Technomancers, don't you?
It's true. I must say that they didn't put their best foot forward last time I saw them. All they managed to do was hide their inability at the price of my enslavement. I love technomancy. This extraordinary feeling of freedom and power it gives you. But those who practice it for the corporations have a real issue. Whether it be for Abundance or Aurora, they can't help hiding ridiculous things. Twisted rituals, and keeping a people they despise out of their little schemes.
Maybe there's a reason for it, don't you think?
You probably know better than me, but it doesn't make them look nice.
What can you tell me about the people of Noctis?
We're free to say anything and everything. You still think way too much like a member of Abundance, where the population pretty much has the same opinion. Here, people come from everywhere. Most of them used to be misfits, criminals, or simply eccentrics who didn't fit in back home. You find merchants, the offspring of the city's founders, hitmen from Aurora, dissenting workers from Abundance, or beggars from Alliance. And mutants, of course. This mix sometimes creates problems and tensions, but as long as everybody works together to protect Noctis, all is well.
Zach, perfect timing. You remember Abby Goodman, friend of mine you helped before?
Yeah, of course. She really your friend, or all just part of the cover you had going on?
No, no, she is. She's a spy for Noctis too, though. She's actually been working on something for me and finally managed to get some info I'd been trying to get.
What information was that?
I spent a part of my life in a rehabilitation camp after my arrest in Ophir. It was the worst time of my existence, and I've always wondered how I'd ended up here. Who had turned us in? We were just a group of street kids. We would steal food here and there, but we weren't dangerous. However, we were arrested and deported to a camp like hardened criminals or terrorists. What happened followed me for many years, until I learned that an important member of the Vori clique was responsible for the deportation of dozens of people. Most of them were innocent, but a nuisance for the mob. I want to find that guy. I want to know if it's he who got us deported. I want to understand why, and make him pay. For me, and my companions, of course, but also for those poor people who hadn't asked for anything.
I'm sorry, but I can't come with you right now.
I see.
Could you tell me more about Noctis?
It's a wonderful city when you come from Ophir like me. You can meet people from all corporations, but especially merchants, thieves, and mercenaries. All these people were born outside a caste for the most part. They have a different vision from us of what a city should be like, and you can feel it. For them, a city is above all a place of exchange, of rest after their travels. That's where they find refuge after a hard time. That's where they make serum or lose everything. Noctis breathes way more than Ophir ever will. It is a city where all opinions have a voice. It is a far more creative and cherished city than any other corporate city. Every citizen would be ready to fight for it. Not because we order them to do it, but because it is their refuge, and without it, they wouldn't feel at home anywhere else.
What's in the nearby canyons? Does Noctis use them?
Sure, they're mostly used to navigate from the city to the rest of the world, but also serve as a defensive hardpoint. Any enemy of Noctis would be left vulnerable while going through the layout of the canyons. I've heard that some groups have hideouts there where they store treasures. That's surely a myth. On the other hand, I know that you can find colonial ruins in poor condition there.
Are you okay with Amelia?
She doesn't like me much, does she? That's okay. I mean, I still really admire her talent and her courage, even if she doesn't see how deeply abundance has manipulated her. But I'm not worried. She'll be better off in a city where she's got freedom and people who respect her for who she is, not what she represents. She's strong. She'll be fine.
You've known Phobos for a while.
For some time, yes. But we don't see each other very often. Our respective roles didn't allow us to spend time talking together. He's a wonderful person. He'll free his people, I'm sure of it. He's a forward thinker, Zack. He's intelligent, and even if he suffered a lot because of what normal people like us did to him and his people, he never gave up. He never sank into hatred. He hoped to build their nation. And he's a loyal friend. We are lucky to have him with us.
What do you think of Scott?
I think that he hides his suffering behind his madness. He's a fallen genius, but under the thick skin that is his madness, you can see a unique spirit glowing. He cares a lot about you. I even have the feeling that you're the only one he has. Take care of him. I know that his heart is still with abundance, and that gives me pause, but you can only see the friend in him, almost a father. Let me manage the rest.
You're close to Lucky?
I've known him for a while, yes, since he managed to break away from his master. He was a real scumbag, you know? The merchants are not all as well-intentioned as Dandolo is. He really had a rough time, and it's made him bitter. But he can be so charming. I like him a lot, even though I wonder whether sometimes he needs a friend more than a fling.
What can you tell me about Dandolo?
He's a complex man, Zack. Not the type to sum up in a few words. He's smart, warm, generous, and completely dedicated to his city. But he's also very manipulative, and he can sometimes be coldly pragmatic. That scares me. I love him like a father, and I don't really want to see him lose himself in his power like many others have.
Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zack. Everything all right?
How the hell did you go from being an artist in Ophir to a spy in Noctis?
Less of a stretch than you think. After all, a good lie, like good art, has to be close to your reality, right? Truth? I was an orphan. Parents did die, and I was on the street and got sucked into a gang. We all got arrested pretty quick and ended up in a rehab camp. Swore I'd die there a couple of times because I wasn't gonna let them brainwash me, and they didn't take too kindly to that. I took the beatings, but got to keep my mind. Then, the day came. Noctis attacked. They freed a lot of us and brought me here, took care of us, gave us a chance to have lives again. So, I felt like I owed them something in return, and offered to go back to Ophir as a spy. Good thing, too. Otherwise, who would have torn you out of Victor's grip and brought you back here?
Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zack. Everything all right?
You always been alone? Or Never had anyone you cared about.
You mean guys? Why? You the jealous type, Zach? Afraid of some competition? Scared you won't measure up? There was one guy, Nick. I was only 10, but I was head over heels for him. He died in the rehab camp after we were all deported around the same time, though. Other than him, couple flings here and there, but nothing much more serious than that. You asking because you heard the rumors in Ophir that I'd sleep with anyone wearing a medal?
No, I was just...
I did what I had to do, Zach. To do my job. Never cared about those guys. That's the truth.
You just did what you had to do. Hi, Nisha.
Hi, Zach. Everything all right?
You miss making music?
I miss performing. I mean, I still sing for myself here and there, write new lyrics when I feel inspired. But the moments I shared with my audience, it was so intense when I felt everyone humming with me.
How about you sing for me?
Maybe another time. But I'd love to. There's something intimate in sharing your art, like sharing your soul. It's why I feel like music can unite people across corporations, on opposite sides of wars or causes. It's simply beautiful. And in between the notes, our differences seem to disappear. The second all this ends, I'll get back to it. It's what I was born for, and I'm not one to deny destiny.
Been to the temple lately?
Nah, I'm kind of over the preacher's tales. He's definitely a good storyteller, but he recycles the stories over and over and over and over and... Well, you get the point. Doomsday this, blah blah that.
Not the religious type, eh?
Oh no, I'm a chronic believer. I just switch beliefs every couple weeks.
Fortunately, this is beyond my skill level. Hey,
Hey, Bat.
as expected, I knew that these ruins were just small dwellings, and that these relics are not the ones that'll be of good use to us Technomancers, just everyday items used by the settlers. However, they have a significant religious value. I wonder if I should keep them. It could turn out to be useful.